Welcome to Built by Us, the podcast that goes beyond the business to explore the stories of entrepreneurs shaping our communities. I'm your host, Jamie Arroyo, CEO of Assets. And today we have a special guest, Delvin Garcia, owner of Rincón Ponceño restaurant right here in Lancaster City. Join me as we explore the highs, lows, and everything in between that has shaped Delvin's path to success. And speaking of paths, we'll also touch upon Delvin's role as a father and the profound impact family has had on his journey. Before we get into the heart of the conversation, we draw some inspiration from none other than LeBron James. We kick off this conversation with the people that LeBron has chosen to surround himself with, the individuals who have played a crucial role in his journey to becoming a global superstar. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and join us as we unravel the entrepreneurial journey of Delvin Garcia, father, visionary, and the driving force behind El Rincón Ponceño. This is Built by Us. You like LeBron James' presence off the court more than on the court, or maybe just as much. But one of the things I love about LeBron James is actually the team that he built around them.
Yep.
So Rich Paul, his agent, Maverick Carter, and I forgot who I was talking to at one point, but I was like, you know, if someone gave me the choice of who I wanted to have dinner with one day, it probably wouldn't be a LeBron James. It would be Maverick Carter. It would be like a Rich Paul. The folks that are around him don't have the fame, but had the kind of come up out of his shadow to build their own successful companies.
Mm-hmm.
So like Maverick Carter has the media company, and Rich Paul obviously a successful agent with Clutch Sports and stuff. So that type of dynamic, there's a whole case study there about the team that he's built along with him.
It's the systematic behind the famous person of presence. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
the team that you build behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
that really make the impact, because they don't have to deal with just being in the presence of the light.
Mm-hmm.
So they can really work behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a lion. You know, the lion's always creeping behind, ready just to attack. So they help lead him to attack when it's time to attack and make moves when the moves need to be made, you know?
Yeah.
So
Do you think LeBron James would be as successful as he is without those people around him, even as talented as he is?
he would be, but he wouldn't be at the caliber he's at because the focus that you need to perform at a high level, he's unbalanced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The work that needs to get put in to be that great, you're unbalanced. There's no, I feel like in business and just any talent you have, you're unbalanced at one point. You can't raise a family 100%, but be great at a sport. I feel like a lot of sport athletes don't talk about it, but they're unbalanced.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a boxer, when he goes to a box, he got to go to training camp and be away from his family for 3 months. He got to be in balance to put your mind in that mental space.
Yeah.
So he would be that great, but he just wouldn't be at the caliber he is outside of basketball.
Yeah. And that's a good point you bring up, because I don't think too many people realize that, why the team is so important is because you have to have people that are bought into what you're trying to accomplish, right? So friends, family, whether you're an entrepreneur or a ball player, it's like I need to commit this level of hours, time, energy, and I need the people around me to understand that and support me as I'm accomplishing this and play their role in that to help me accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. But really for the team, right? Because the family benefits, the friends benefit, the network benefits when you do that. So, but yeah, it's entrepreneurship is the same way, right? So, so tell me a little bit about your superhero origin story. So tell me, your background, how you got into entrepreneurship, what inspired you through your journey to get in this game.
Okay, so my superhero origin story, I'm gonna go way back. I was just talking to my mother about this, so the picture's very vivid. So since a kid, man, I always loved to be a leader, a helpful person. She showed me a recent picture, not recent, it was an old picture, but she showed me recently of a picture of me when I was in Head Start. Head Start, it's me and 2 friends of mine at that age, and there's a big kingdom of building blocks. You know, the spheres, the little castles. Big, it's a big, really big, like, kingdom. I don't even know how, but the teacher said I helped him. I led the whole project of building his whole kingdom. Yeah. And that always stuck with me, leading, being there for people. And, that was just who I was always. And I never, became that person was like, oh, I'm better than you at this because I can do this better. I always like, if I was good at this, I see you struggled, you need help, come with you. I'm gonna step back down and help you come back up with us so we could all like shine. So it was just like, and then besides that, also when I got into middle school, my mom always told me that when I didn't want clothes or stuff like that, I had expensive clothes, I used to sell it, trade it. So it was like, it's always been in me to just be an entrepreneur. You know, I was a lot stubborn in sports. I did not like to be told what to do. I'd rather just perform, which is not a good cause. Like an entrepreneur now, just like knowing you definitely got to game plan, study, work, train, and work hard. But I was stubborn. I didn't like being told what to do. I always did my own thing. And I think that's what molded me to who I am now, who I'm becoming. It's just, I kept the consistency as a kid, just helping, leading, and just being, you know, there for everyone if they needed me, you know?
Yeah. So you mentioned your mom a couple times.
Yeah.
What role has she played in that journey and even today?
She plays a big part, really big part. You know, my grandfather was a real entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. He came to America, I don't know what year, but he came here to work. He sent all his like money to Dominican Republic. He had land, corner stores, a lot of houses, you know, just rented them out. And she, you know, she's very vivid and tells me about the way he thought, how a lot of friends and people in the business world use them. And, you know, she guides me of letting me know that be very cautious with your actions and how you think and how you talk to certain people, you know. Your character is going to determine where you go and how people see you, how people treat you, you know. And she always distilled that in my mind since a kid. So, you know, just being very intentional. She helps me be very intentional and thoughtful. Don't make impulsive moves. And, you know, I always talk to her. Like, a lot of teens, when they grow up, they want to, like, separate from their parents. But I feel like you should always talk to your parents because that wisdom, that knowledge that they have and they could teach you is the best.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to a colleague with earlier today, and we were talking about, you know, having kids in different seasons. Yeah. So, you know, luckily I have a long time to go before my kid's a teenager. But I was like, you know, I was probably the biggest pain in the ass for my parents between the ages of 16 and 26. Because it's like you get old enough to think you know what you're talking about. And going back to control, it's like, oh, you know, I can go do what I want now. You can't tell me what to do. So you start to test a couple of things and you learn about life the hard way a lot of times, right? So being able to have that tight relationship with your mom and being able to have that guidance and still, I think, be self-aware enough to say, actually, I could use some of this counsel, this wise and this wisdom could be very helpful.
It's very true. And I say we all live in phases, you know. Sometimes we live in a phase where we want to try to figure it out all by ourselves. And like you said, you get that hard smack of life and it kicks you right down to the floor. And that's where I say, like, seek for help, you know, because we're all human. We all live in different phases. Sometimes we think we got it under control and we don't, you know. So seek for help because then the mental thought's going to get to you and you're going to feel like you're not able to get out that funk you just got into just by trying to, you know, fly. You know, so definitely keep your parents around as much as you can.
I think part of that too is just this kind of this urgency to rush things a little bit too much, especially when you're younger, right? And I think and you see it in entrepreneurship where I think folks sometimes try to rush the process trying to get to the results, right? And it's just understanding that there's wisdom in sitting in the process and learning from the process rather than rush through the results in that. So being able to sort of listen for guidance and wisdom, you have to actually slow down enough to actually listen for that, right?
Very true.
So your grandfather, did you have a tight relationship with him growing up or how?
It's funny because my grandpa, I met him a few times, but he was at the age already of like retirement. He didn't want to be around kids. So I don't lie to you.
I'm retired. I'm done.
No correlation. He came down to visit us here in Lancaster at one point, and he didn't want to be around us. I was just a young knucklehead, like just wanted to play around the house all day, run, jump. I was too loud for him. So he was like, oh, these kids just don't stop running. So the relationship was never there. But, you know, at the end of the day, that was my grandfather. And the story is inspiring, you know. And just the hard work I know he put in helps a lot. And, you know, another person as well, very vivid is my father, you know. His background, his story helps me a lot to get through, you know, difficult moments mentally and just helping lead the business and make decisions that, you know, even if they're not good, front line it.
Yeah.
Chin up high, chest out, and just figure it out from there. He plays a really, really big role as well.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your pops. What's inspired you from him?
Just because my parents came here in 2019. Well, my father got here in 1999. Yeah, right when I was born. Same year I was born. And his background is he was really poor. No father, no mother. Well, his mother was there, but it was just she was still trying to figure out her life. So he grew himself up. I feel like it's a touching story and very emotional, as he tells me about it every day, what he been through, what he went through, and he helped himself grow up. He had to endure a lot of pain and like, who is my father? Why is my mother not around? And a lot of questions in the head, but he chose to work and keep going. He was a boxer for about like 10 years or something like that around those lines. And that helped him just working out. That's why I work out so much now, because the workout helped him maintain character, discipline, just the mentality of let's go get it, So just knowing his background and how my background is the same as his, similar, but just the aspect that my parents came here with nothing and they just chose to keep going, and they didn't go like, I have a choice not to go to work today. Just I have to work to provide for my family. It's just like the foundation of what gets me to keep going in entrepreneurship. It's just like keep going. I know my parents been through a lot worse compared to this day and age. They did a lot of like the concrete pounding and just to get us here. So I stack off of that and say, man, there's no reason to quit. Let's keep going and keep figuring it out.
Yeah. It's like sometimes I feel this responsibility. So, my parents, also came here from Puerto Rico, and I think about the labor that they had to, and I mean that many different ways, to really build the foundation for the family, and think about the privilege that we have to build off of that rather than have to start something from scratch sometimes. And it's almost a responsibility, a reminder of a responsibility that we have to carry when we think about their stories and their background. I know my father would tell me this story where he wanted to go to college and he had to like choose between, it was like, well, I had money for gas or I had money to eat. So I could either fill up the gas tank and get the class, or I can eat for the day. Right. So just like hearing that, when I was complaining about a test I had to take, I was like, well, I don't have to worry about going hungry or, gas. I could fill up the tank right now if I want to. So understanding that privilege and the responsibility we have to take what they were able to build a strong foundation of and build on top of that, super important. So it's interesting. Yeah.
That's what keeps you moving the needle day by day. Knowing our origin story, like who our parents were, who our grandparents were, and what they did to get us here, that makes you move the needle. That makes you wake up every day like, I don't have a choice. Let's go get it. Yeah.
Love that. So what made you get into business?
So I had my first business. A lot of people that know me, I had a hookah lounge / nightclub with my brother at the moment. We started that back. Well, we bought the business because it was established business already. It was there for about 10 years, but we got it before that. All right, let me take it back a little bit, because before that, I threw parties in Lancaster a little bit, just as a kid. I just wanted to have fun. I like to entertain people. So I feel like I'm in the hospitality industry because I like to see people have fun and good time and enjoy themselves. So I threw a party here in Lancaster, and it went. I didn't make no money. It broke even. I'm not gonna lie. I broke even. It didn't make no money, but it was just
a lot of fun though, right?
Honestly, I didn't as much. No, I was trying to provide a good service to the people. So if people remember that day, I was walking all over the place trying to get ice, trying to get just satisfy the people there. But so I had a big party there, and then my brother was doing like parties as well, and then we collabed. And he found a location. We collabed, and we got the location. And mind you, at this, I was just going to college at Thaddeus Stevens, and I was like, let's do it, and just because we were already in the industry, so I was like, why not make a business out of it and just let's go off of that. And it was a good run, 3-year run, and that's what just inspired me. Just like, all right, I made this business, and it went really well. In the middle details was, that's what drained me out of it, but that influenced me to make a business because it was just something I just thought of as an idea, have parties to just make it a business, and was able to run it successfully. And that club Hookah Lounge Club is still active to this day. Yeah. So just knowing that background is like, I'm good at it, just take your time with it, and you see how a business evolves with just no customers, but you just being consistent. then it grows and it grows. That just motivates you with anything in life, Just sit there and watch it grow, and it'll come to fruition.
Nice.
Off of creativity that nothing in entrepreneurship is secure. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, just to know that it was a thought and then you put it out there and then people liked it / loved it. It's just, it just motivates me, And it goes back to how I was a youth. I like to help and provide for people. So it just prolonged the feeling. And, that's what I really do stuff for, is for the feeling.
Yeah.
Not so, the money's important. I wouldn't say money's not important, but, we know of a lot of people that making money but not fulfilled, So just being creative and putting it out there and creating and people liking it, that's what fills my soul, in other words.
Yeah. So you went from the hookah lounge, and then when did you transition into the restaurant that you own now?
So I transitioned to the restaurant 7 months ago. So currently own the restaurant for 7 months. I took a good break. I took about a 1.5 year break because I was physically, emotionally drained from the nightclub, just because what comes behind it and being there every day, and just the partnership and a whole wasn't good enough, even though it's my sibling. But at the end of the day, business is business, And I used to hear that family business is not a good, but I always thought different. I always wanted to make it in-house just because of the foundation, Family, you got to keep it close because of what our parents came through and overcame. But it just, the partnership didn't go well, and that really drained me physically, emotionally, mentally, everywhere. And, I just took a break. And when I took a break, I learned a lot. And at that moment, when I had that first business, I wasn't really into books or like just knowing the direction was, to grow, get a bigger club and, just tear up the city. That was the mindset. But you start to realize, like, as you grow, that I was bound to crash out the way I was running the business, the way I was just handling myself. Because now with that business, you're frontline in the presence of social media, the people. So now they look at you a certain way. So now you got a standard that people look at you. And when you like want to keep that, but not show that you're human, that you go through things. So you want to keep this, like, I'm this guy.
Yeah.
So, it was just a lot of that drained me.
Yeah. Do you feel like you had to put on a facade because of the business that didn't feel authentic at the time?
Of course. That's what it was. I lost the vision because now I was putting on a facade, not being truly authentic to who I was, and that I was making bad choices, and that I was leading the youth to destruction, because just partying all day, every day is not life.
Yeah.
It doesn't fulfill you. You think it's fun, and in the moment it kind of feels fun, but it's not moving the needle for you as a human being. You know what I mean? It's not always fun.
Yeah.
You're gonna crash out. I feel like Mike Tyson is a perfect story that people don't really analyze a lot.
Yeah.
That he had the money, the power, and everything, the fame, and all he did was party. And see where he's at. Like, his mentality changed a lot as he got older, but he even said his best time was in jail after he left the parties and the fun. So, it just I think when I took that break, I changed the direction of my mentality and everything else.
This special podcast episode is built by the Lancaster County Community Foundation, which uses this transformational potential of community-based philanthropy and the power of endowment to help shape a Lancaster County where every individual is valued, has a sense of belonging, and has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you to our friends at the Lancaster County Community Foundation for making it possible to provide access to training and lending for entrepreneurs.
So I feel like we have a relative I could relate to you in your first book that Danny Falcone gave you.
Yeah.
That he told you to buy. Rich Dad Poor Dad was my first book.
Yeah.
And man, listen, I was mind blown. I said, wow.
Yeah.
That book.
Yeah, that was one of the first books that I mentioned in one of the other episodes. But Daniel Falcone, local entrepreneur, when I first met him, and I was probably 19 years old. I don't think I finished the book before that in school, right? So he tells me, he's like, we start talking about real estate, and he's like, I invest in real estate, and you could too. And there's this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It'll get you inspired to do this. And I think I went to Barnes and Noble that day, bought it. And it was the first book that I could remember finishing. And now I'm like reading, I probably read too much, but, I remember reading that book, and when I finished it, I felt like I learned all these secrets. And my friends could tell you at the time too, because I would not stop talking about it. So to your point about trying to take it over, I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, we need to build a business. We need, like, this is financial freedom, and we need to do this. We need to be entrepreneurs, and and I think it's what eventually led me to even come to assets, because one of the things that, Danny used to tell me was like, you're an entrepreneur. He would tell me that. But I think what inspired me so much, to your point about helping people, is that I was like, well, yeah, I could do this myself, but how do I build other entrepreneurs around me? Because I felt that while I knew these secrets, I was like, why doesn't anybody else know about these principles and these business fundamentals? And I call them secrets because that's what I felt they were, right? No one was teaching us these, these things about investing and, making sure, you invest in real estate and what does that look like. So I felt because I had these secrets, I needed to share with my community. So that's what ultimately brought me to assets, and why I'm so passionate about this mission, because I was like, it's not enough for me to be successful. I need to make sure that the community's successful. And that was that book that really sparked that interest in me.
That's why I love assets so much. The moat behind assets, and you leading the way, it's just the perfect. I see really big things for assets growing as it keeps growing, and 30 years is 30 years, but there's still so many years to go on. So just how you're so passionate about this financial literacy, the secrets of business, and motivating entrepreneurs. Yeah, assets they in good hands.
Yeah. Well, we have a good team too, so they're making it happen. So when you transition to the restaurant, like, it's been 7 months that you've been in that space. What have been some of the things that have been going well, and then some of the challenges that you've experienced?
So things that are going well is the changes I've made in the restaurant that I've seen since I got it, that people are receiving it well. And just the fact that, we're bringing the name back to the city, like good food, good customer service, more options, more, just overall, just as a business, people are liking it more. They're gravitating to it more. And they feel like it's representing the culture.
Yeah.
The challenge is I never had a restaurant or never worked in a restaurant. I just knew hospitality, just satisfying the customer and giving them what they deserve, and what they want. And just everything, just this whole system operation. And over the summer, it was a busy summer. So I got in the peak of like the restaurant season for that restaurant. And it was tough because the operations was something I never understood. And, I caught myself going like to McDonald's drive-thru just to look at how they're moving, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, just doing my homework, But it was really challenging just to keep up with the demand at the moment, being my first time ever just being in the restaurant industry. But, I'll say it's a good experience, Just the fact that it was a thought, because I always wanted to, have a restaurant/sports bar, which I'm not there yet. But just to know I'm in the field now, out of a thought that came to my mind, is just the amazing part, And I'm willing to endure the hits and the mistakes, and just keep leading.
Yeah. I tell you something. One thing I really appreciate about you is the level of detail that you focus on. So we talk about excellence, and I think sometimes, or I don't think people realize the level of detail you have to, even on the small things. Yeah. So even going to a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's and saying like, okay, how does this operate, and studying that. I think actually it was one of our former CEOs of assets. I think it was Jonathan that told me that his dad used to like time customers through drive-thrus just to see how fast they were able to like provide the service at different places. But it's that level of detail and studying is like super important to make sure that you're constantly learning about better processes and systems to make your own business successful.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's hard work though. Don't get me wrong. Like any business is hard work because it's the work that needs to get put outside of the business operation hours, Yeah. That's what really matters the most. And a lot of people worry about the big hits in their business. Like, oh, we got this big thing coming up. But it's the day-to-day operations that really impact the mission and the needle in the business. Because a lot of people, big this, big.
Yeah.
It's the little things. It's the everyday, how do you move? What's the mindset? What's the conversations going on in the business? And a lot of people want to be owners and not leaders. A lot of people like to call up their staff employees instead of teammates, staff. And it's just being a leader, just being there, I was very vivid about that, just being there. Even if we got a customer's order wrong, before they used to argue about it.
Yeah.
But I was like, don't worry about it. We'll take it to the chin. And just being that example for them,
Yeah.
you know? And then my mom helped me with the restaurant, helps me with the restaurant a lot. So, you know, I talk to her all the time, like, just, you know, just be the leader for them. Just lead the staff and everyone, just lead them. And they'll get, you know, we just respect everyone as human beings, and we'll get it done, you know? Even if we losing on the front end, but in the long run, the detail that we're like looking to fix is going to come to fruition. And now 7 months down the line, people see it.
Yeah.
You see our Google comments, the service was outstanding, the food was amazing, delicious, flavorful.
Yeah.
And it's the day-to-day detail and not the big hits, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about for me, and just how I look forward to every day.
Yeah. And it's two words that come to mind is consistency and endurance. And we know a lot about that from like running, but in entrepreneurship, it's to your point. It's like, how can you be consistent, right? You can't have one good meal. Like, how do you produce consistently good meals or order after order? And then to me, endurance is something that I don't think gets talked about a lot. The idea of how do you outlast competition sometimes? And I think in order to outlast competition is you have to be more consistent than everybody else. And I think the folks that you see not quite as successful or last as long is because they weren't consistent. They were, to your point, waiting on those big hits.
They weren't worried. They were worried about the big hits, and the endurance is the hard part because we're human. As human beings, we get emotionally drained about stuff that happens outside of life, but it's the consistent work that you put in that it always wrap you back around of you have the foundation of what got your business started. You know, a lot of people lose the vision. It's like, you know, I get this from David Goggins a lot. He says when people start a job, they're so passionate about it, ready to go. 3 months down the road, they're unmotivated. They don't want it. So it's just like, keep that spark that made you want to get that job. So, you know, a lot of businesses lose that spark. You know, you got to work off of that spark and just keep letting that motivate you to keep going. You know, that's what brings your consistency and your endurance, because you just keep trying to tell your mind it's just all over again. Like, I just started. You know, that's what keeps you just going, you know, to pay attention to the detail. Because if, you know, it's like when the business gets too big, you can't let that get to your head. That's when you start losing everything, the mission. And I learned that from my first business. My foundation was, you know, get this up, grow from there, grow the business, the brand. But then I got lost in the transition of, the business is getting too good, so I don't need to worry about this, that. And when you let those little details slip away and them little things slip away, then you see the destruction with your team, your staff, and everyone around. And the customers feel it. When there's dysfunction in your business, your customers feel it very much, and it scares them away. And I always told my staff, the hardest thing to do is get somebody to come back after they had a horrible moment. Because even myself, if I have a bad experience at any business or restaurant, I think twice about going back. Even if I have peers that tell me, it got better, I still think about it in the back of my mind, like, do I want to go back? So I'm very adamant about being nice and kind and providing that extraordinary service to a customer. You know, even if some customers are like harsh and there's a lot of truth in it that you could fix. You know, if you take it personal, you won't fix it. You're like, well, why are they talking about me like that or the business? They don't know how hard I work behind the scenes. Like, you get real defensive, but it's just all about listening to the critique and just fixing it, and it's just being consistent after you fix it. You know, and it calls them back because they really generally changed, and, you know, I'm gonna give them another shot. So
I actually tell people to take it personal, but don't get defensive about it, right? But if you take it personal, it's like you should want to be better, right? So like someone walks into the assets office and if it's messy and chairs aren't, put in and we didn't clean down the tables, it's like you just take that personally, right? Client comes in and they see that. It's like, wait, if that's how you're paying the attention to that stuff, how are you gonna deal with my business, right? So I think we should take it personal. We should just be able to receive that feedback and then get better from it. You know, how do you stay present? So like a lot of this stuff, it sounds like you're trying your best to stay present to understand and see all that stuff around you. How do you do that?
So I'm very adamant about my time. You know, pre-week planning, pre-month planning is very, very helpful. You know, even like with my meals. I already know I'm going to eat throughout the week. I eat twice a day a week. every day, and my meals are already planned out for the week. My outfits are already planned out for the week. So it's just like I save up so much time there that a lot of people don't know. They waste a lot of time just thinking about an outfit. If you already have your outfit planned out, listen, you saved like 30 minutes right there, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I'm just very on it with my time. It's just like, I know I got to do this at a certain time. So just making to-do lists the night before and just pre-week planning everything else that needs to get done. That's a responsibility, and just, so that helps me be there present and not worry about anywhere else I need to be or something that I've slipped up or missed, because I already know that it's going to get taken care of or already got taken care of. So it helps me just look and just be there all around and just communicating with your team, They tell you when you're not around what happened, what's missing, where you mess up at, and they help you clean up, that. And we were just talking about LeBron and his staff. It's just his team. If he slips up, they're going to help him clean up.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it all by yourself, you're just going to take more hits and then you're not going to know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then just that's what helps me be present. Just pre-week planning, pre-month planning, if you really like, if you could get there. But
yeah.
It's just, that's what helps you clean up the excessive time that you spend doing other things like scrolling and things like that.
Yeah. Well, but a lot of people don't realize that. Like, to me, that's such a basic thing that most people don't do.
Yeah.
And I think there's this almost sometimes fantasy that folks have. It's like, when I'm an entrepreneur, when I'm the boss, when I'm the CEO, I don't have to worry about those little things anymore. And it's just like, no. Those are actually the things that will actually make you be successful. It's
Correct.
Being organized, it's detail-oriented, scheduling. I look a year in advance. Like, I'm constantly looking. I know when my vacations are being booked. I know when what my mornings are going to look like. You have to plan accordingly, because if you have a rhythm, you're able to execute on the actual work, right? But a lot of people think you can get rid of that basic stuff when you're your own boss, and that's not always the case.
It's not true at all. That helps productivity a lot. And another thing is, a lot of people say, "Oh, when I get there, I'm going to do it. When I am the boss, I'm going to do it." And they don't look at it's the habits that you stack now.
Mm-hmm.
Start now. Or if you're working to be the boss, start the habits now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do, it's just gonna feed off of, like, if you're lazy now and you become a boss, you're gonna be a lazier boss, because now you don't really need to do it. But it's just like a good quote is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Exactly.
So just start now, build, plan. Even if you don't know how to build out a week, or every day is questionable for you, at least try. At least eat at this time and just gym at this time. That's a start. Or you got to be at work at a certain time. Everybody works.
Yeah.
So at least start with that on your schedule.
Yeah.
I got to be at work at this time, and I leave at this time, and I take lunch at this time, and that's how you start.
Yeah.
So
starting time hasn't changed ever, right?
Right.
So you got to be there at 9, right?
Exactly. So.
And I tell people that all the time too, because I think we're almost looking for permission to start something, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's looking for a promotion, being an executive, a manager, starting our own business and entrepreneurship.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to act like that before you actually become one. To me, it's like I was acting like the CEO of Assets before I was the CEO of Assets, right? And, as an entrepreneur, if you're an employee, how do you act like the boss as an employee, right? Treating your workspace as if this was your business. That's when you're going to have the most learning, and where you're going to actually build, you were talking earlier about character, to actually do the job well in the long term.
Yep. That's what it's all about, man. Just being adamant about your actions, and just frontlining anything that comes into play. Just showing up. That helps a lot. Just showing up helps a lot.
This episode is built by the Reimagining Our Community Giving Circle. The ROC Giving Circle is a way for the community to support BIPOC-owned small businesses through collective philanthropy. The Giving Circle is managed by the ROC cohort, and its purpose is to facilitate funding to initiatives that support BIPOC-owned small businesses. To learn more, visit roclancaster.org. So I do want to touch on one thing that before we wrap up, because I first met Delvin at the Reinventing Our Community cohort Giving Circle launch. And a mutual friend of ours, Tracy Jones.
Shout out Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, my guy. He introduced us, and he goes, I want you to meet this guy. He's an entrepreneur and he's a runner. Yep. And I think you'll like him. And, we chopped it up a little bit at that. And I remember I think it was a Thursday night. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, if you run, there's we have a little crew that typically runs Friday mornings. We meet, a little bit before 5 a.m. At Franklin and Marshall. And you're like, yeah, shoot me a text, let me know, hit me up, and I'll be there. Well, I forget to text you. And this is how I knew you were the real deal, because that next morning, like halfway through the run, or not even halfway, probably as we started, I told you, I was like, I forgot to, text Delvin. And here you come running right behind the crew, catching up with us. And I was like, my guy took the little bit of information that I gave him and showed up anyway.
Yep.
Where there's folks that have every detail in the world and won't make it. What does that, like? What makes you that type of person?
So background behind that, I'm very adamant about staying ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like anything that I put my mind, it's like I had a goal when I got to that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to meet some different people. I got to, put my foot into Lancaster culture, what's growing, what's moving here. And we met there, but I've seen you at we went to the state of the city.
Yeah.
The year before that.
That's right. Yeah.
And I seen you on stage talking and what you did. I was like, well, I got to meet this guy. One day I'm going to meet this guy. I don't know when or where, but I'm going to meet this guy. And Tracy, I met Tracy through the gym. I see him going every day. He sees me going every day. It was a mutual thing. You know that feeling you get from that's a dog. So I met Tracy through the gym, and we just always shook hands and stuff like that. So my first conversation with Tracy was at that night.
Oh, okay.
So that night is where I met Tracy, and he knew that because we seen each other at the gym. Is that dog?
Yeah.
And then when I met you, I was like, oh, look at that. And I was a little nervous about going to the meeting at first because I don't know nobody there or anything, but it's just with a little bit of information. It's like you could go if you're already ready. You don't need too much information. That's where I get at. Work hard, and just stay ready. So when you get the opportunity, show up.
Yep.
Something so simple like that, but it's meaningful. I was like, he said, I was waiting at night, so I woke up at like 3 a.m. I'm ready to go. I'm stretching. I'm like, I still didn't get a message, but he told me F&M. I'm already ready. And the thing is, I didn't have my car. My car was at the shop, so I ran from Wallbank, Millersville. Sheets by there.
So I didn't know this.
So I ran from there. So I already put in a couple miles before I met the guys. And then I got there and I met them. I went to the parking lot before that. The visitor parking lot, I was there and I was like, I don't see nobody. Let me just run on the other side. And I run on the other side and I see them. I was like, oh, look at them right there. And I just started running over there and I was like, I'm here now. And then I seen Jay. I was like, what's going on, Jamie? Because at first I didn't know if it was a group because I didn't know anybody that was there. But just being ready, always being ready. Just working when you don't have anything. And a lot of times we miss that because we feel like we need to have everything going on or, things figured out. But it's just working to get to where you want to get to without having nothing. And people don't understand that's where your most still time is at because you don't really have it. But you're delusional like you do have it.
Yeah.
So you're in that state of mind and you just working. So when you do get it, you already firing all cylinders because you've been working hard for it. That's what happened with the restaurant. I was always like working, studying, and looking at different things, getting knowledge. So when I got the restaurant, I was able to take off. Everything I spoke about prior to getting a restaurant, when I got it, it was just go mode.
Yeah.
I'm putting this system in place and this system in place and go mode. So I feel like a very key aspect is work before where you want to be at. And work really hard because you don't have that pressure yet to make executive decisions in a rapid time. But if you just work and you get that, you get just the feeling of what hard work is and information, it'll help you a long time in the long run. So to bring all that back, I was ready. You would have called me the month before, the month after, I was ready. Just the opportunity of meeting Jamie and like I said, I see them at the meeting. It was just a perfect opportunity. I'm very grateful for the friendship we have now. It's growing, evolving, and he's a good leader. He's a good leader, very good leader.
Well, I appreciate that, and right back at you. I think we talked a little bit about character before we started recording, and it was that moment. I think I went home to my wife. I was just like, this is what I'm talking about. My guy just showed up, right? And I think and even Tracy, like Tracy is someone that. One of the best characters I know, right? And so the way this world is so small is he was part of the Great Social Enterprise pitch a few years ago. So I met Tracy through Assets. Okay. I had the opportunity to work with him when he was had a business idea there. And even with Tracy, like his character allows him to be what he's doing today. And you could just tell whether, anyone, entrepreneur, leader in the community, or someone that's just getting started, it's their character, and that vibe comes off, right? But it's in those little actions. It's not waiting until, well, you didn't text me, I'm going back to bed.
Right.
It's a little cold outside. Ooh, let me stay in bed, or it's a little rainy. It's just like, no, like I said I was going to be there, so I'm gonna find a way to be there, so I appreciate that. And that's you have I'm very excited to see the things that you're going to accomplish. I think it's just built in your DNA. And I see that.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else coming up for you that you want the world to know about?
At the moment, I'm just very still right now, enjoying every moment. I'm in a new phase right now, building a family. I'm a father of 2 kids now. A partner as well, committed partner. This all new to me. And just having a business with a family. It just I want to kind of be balanced, but it's just a new phase. So I'm very still right now. I have different projects in mind that I really want to come out with, but just knowing that timing is a key aspect in life. So just right now I'm very still, enjoying every moment, grasping, learning, just fixing stuff that needs to be fixed all around, just life, business, family, everything else. So at the moment I'm still. That's gonna be it. I'm still right now. I'm very still.
Love it. Cool. Thanks for joining us, man.
Of course.
Appreciate it. So.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another inspiring episode of Built by Us. A huge thank you to Delvin Garcia, the heart and soul behind Rincón Ponceño, for sharing his entrepreneur journey and the role family plays in shaping it. As we wrap up, remember that every business has a unique story, and it's the people behind them that make our communities vibrant. I hope Delvin's story has left you feeling motivated and reminded you of the incredible individuals working tirelessly to build something meaningful. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us continue to bring you these stories and celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship. Stay tuned for more captivating conversations with the builders of our community. I've been your host, Jamie Arroyo, and this is Built by Us.
This is the Built by Us podcast, brought to you by Assets. Visit us at assetspa.org to learn more about the products and services we provide. And you can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube.